Titus chapter 2 verses 11 through 14 says, "For the grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age, waiting for our blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us, to redeem us from all lawlessness, and to purify for himself a people for his own possession, who are zealous for good works." The question I want to ask today is, do we take verses like this seriously as we live our days out at work and at home with our families? Do we really live, as this says, I'm reading it right now, denounce worldly passions, live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age? What the verse says is that's one of the pinnacle purposes of what Jesus came to do. That's what he came to make us. He came to make us those people. And if we're not doing that, then first of all, a question to ask yourself is, are you really believing? Are you really following? Have you been regenerated? Have you really crossed the threshold into belonging to him? Has he come into your life? Has he done a work in you that has changed you forever? The second question I think you need to ask yourself is, are you actively going along with what Jesus is trying to do in you, in training you to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions? Because it's pretty easy to ignore, usually right up until he smacks you over the head with it. And he'll do that. If he wants you to be godly, if you are a true child of his, the book of Hebrews says that he will discipline you. He will train you in godliness. And you can resist it. You can not go along with it. And that's pretty miserable. And I don't know why you would, considering that one of the great purposes of his coming and his gospel is to make you more righteous. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to be more righteous. So what you got to look for when you're living out your day, when you're living out your life, is trials. Things that frustrate you, things that drive you insane, things that are your crutches, things that are your issues. Those are things that are meant to train you. They're meant to give you opportunities to be righteous when the world is around you is not. When the world around you is fighting against you, and it will every day, every moment, in one way or another. And sometimes it'll be more obvious than others, but look for the training, look for the opportunities, look for where God's trying to grab you by the shoulders and shake you and say, come on, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what you need to be. This is who you need to be. Aside from that, you can actively avoid sin 100 times a day just by looking away from certain advertisements in the mall and from not watching certain TV shows that you might have watched if you weren't a believer. So there's plenty of opportunity for us to show the world who we are, not to make a show of it, but to be who Jesus has come to make us be, if that makes sense. So until next time.